If you're over 70 and considering remarriage, what I'm about to reveal could save you from losing everything you've worked your entire life to build. Recent studies show that 67% of late-life remarriages end in devastating consequences that go far beyond divorce. We're talking about adult children who never speak to you again, life savings completely drained, and family heirlooms lost forever. The third nightmare I'll share today destroyed a woman's relationship with her grandchildren permanently, and it happened just 4 months after she said "I do." Before you walk down that aisle again, you need to know these 5 brutal realities that nobody talks about, but everyone should understand. Welcome to Life Advice for Older People. I'm here to give you the honest truth about decisions that could change your life forever. Today, we're discussing something deeply personal that many of you have asked about: remarrying after 70. While finding love again is beautiful, the reality is that late-life remarriage comes with unique dangers that can destroy everything you hold dear. I'll walk you through 5 specific nightmares: your adult children permanently cutting contact, financial exploitation that drains your retirement, losing your home and precious possessions, medical crisis chaos that leaves you powerless, and complete social isolation from lifelong friends. Each nightmare is preventable if you know what to watch for. Hit that subscribe button and smash that like button if you want honest advice about protecting yourself while still being open to love. I share real talk about senior life challenges every week. Have you been considering remarriage or know someone who has? Drop a comment about your biggest concern. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear protection strategy that lets you pursue happiness without risking everything you've built over 7 decades. Your adult children turn against you permanently. The first nightmare hits where it hurts most: your relationship with your own children and grandchildren. When 72-year-old Sandra announced her engagement 18 months after her husband's death, her 3 adult children immediately stopped calling. Within 6 months, she was uninvited from family gatherings, blocked from seeing her grandchildren, and completely excluded from holiday celebrations that had been family traditions for decades. This isn't about children being difficult or selfish. It's about deep psychological triggers that late-life remarriage activates in adult children. They're dealing with their own grief over losing their father or mother, fear that their inheritance is threatened, and genuine concern that you're being manipulated by someone with ulterior motives. Many adult children view quick remarriage as a betrayal of their deceased parents' memory and feel like you're erasing the family history they cherish. The grief component is particularly complex because adult children often haven't finished processing their own loss when you announce new romantic involvement. They may still be visiting their parents' grave regularly, keeping their belongings unchanged, or struggling with accepting the finality of death. Your happiness with someone new can feel like evidence that their parent didn't matter as much as they believed, triggering feelings of abandonment and betrayal. Financial fears are equally powerful motivators for family conflict. Adult children have watched you and their deceased parent build assets over decades, often sacrificing for the family's benefit. They may have been counting on inheritance to fund their own retirement, pay for their children's college education, or handle unexpected medical expenses. The prospect of a new spouse potentially inheriting everything they considered their family legacy creates panic and resentment. The consequences extend far beyond hurt feelings and awkward family dinners. Your adult children often control access to grandchildren, serve as emergency contacts, and provide crucial support during health crises. When these relationships fracture, you lose your primary support system exactly when you need it most. Many seniors find themselves completely alone during medical emergencies because their new spouse doesn't know their medical history, preferences, or family dynamics that took decades to develop. The financial implications are equally devastating. Adult children may challenge your will in court, contest property transfers, or refuse to help with elder care costs, forcing you to deplete savings for services they might have provided out of love. They may also refuse to serve as healthcare proxies or power of attorneys, leaving critical decisions to a new spouse who barely knows your values, religious beliefs, or treatment preferences. Warning signs include children expressing concerns about timing, refusing to meet your new partner despite multiple invitations, making pointed comments about protecting their deceased parents' memory, or suddenly becoming overly interested in your financial affairs. If your children are asking direct questions about prenuptial agreements, inheritance plans, or property ownership, they're already deeply worried about their financial security and family legacy. More subtle signs include changes in communication patterns, shorter phone calls, cancelled visits, forgotten birthdays, or exclusion from family group texts and social media. Children may start visiting their deceased parents' grave more frequently, talking more about family history, or making pointed comments about loyalty and family values. To prevent this nightmare, involve your children in the relationship from early stages, but don't force interactions that feel rushed or artificial. Introduce your partner gradually in low-pressure settings like casual coffee meetings rather than formal family dinners. Acknowledge their concerns without being defensive, and be completely transparent about your intentions regarding inheritance, family traditions, and household arrangements. Most importantly, establish clear boundaries about what family relationships and traditions you're not willing to sacrifice for any romantic relationship. If a potential spouse demands that you choose between them and your children or shows jealousy about your family relationships, that's a massive red flag, indicating controlling behavior that will only worsen after marriage. Your new spouse's hidden financial agenda. The second nightmare involves financial exploitation so sophisticated that many seniors don't realize it's happening until their life savings are completely gone. Unlike the crude scams targeting seniors through phone calls or mail, these financial predators use romance and emotional manipulation to gain access to assets accumulated over a lifetime of work and sacrifice. Financial predators targeting seniors for marriage are skilled manipulators who research their targets carefully. They know your approximate net worth from property records, understand your social patterns from observing where you frequent, and often know personal details about your loss and vulnerability from mutual acquaintances or online research. They present themselves as financially stable while hiding debt, bankruptcies, or histories of exploiting previous partners. The manipulation starts subtly with requests for small financial favors, help with a temporary cash flow problem, assistance with a minor car repair, or contributing to a family emergency. These requests test your generosity and establish a pattern of financial dependence disguised as partnership. Each request increases in amount and frequency, always accompanied by elaborate explanations and promises of repayment that never materialize. More sophisticated predators focus on gaining legal access to your assets through marriage, joint bank accounts, or property transfers. They may suggest adding their name to your accounts for convenience, propose buying property together as an investment, or recommend changing beneficiaries on insurance policies and retirement accounts to protect your interests. These changes often happen gradually, framed as natural progressions of your relationship rather than calculated asset transfers. The debt inheritance trap is particularly devastating. Some predators hide massive credit card debt, unpaid taxes, or legal judgments that become your responsibility after marriage. They may also use your credit to secure loans, open new accounts, or make major purchases, destroying your financial reputation built over decades. Since credit agencies don't distinguish between debt incurred before or after marriage, you become liable for obligations you never knew existed. Health insurance fraud is another common scheme. Predators may target seniors with excellent health coverage, marrying them to gain access to expensive medical treatments, prescription medications, or surgical procedures they couldn't otherwise afford. They may also exploit Medicare benefits, using your information to bill for services they received or didn't receive at all. The isolation component amplifies financial vulnerability. Predators often encourage you to distance yourself from family members and friends who might recognize warning signs or ask uncomfortable questions about financial decisions. They frame this isolation as protecting your privacy and independence, making you more dependent on them for social interaction and decision-making support. Property exploitation can happen through seemingly romantic gestures. A new spouse might suggest selling your family home to downsize together or travel more freely, then manipulate the proceeds into accounts they control. They may also claim partial ownership of property, vehicles, or valuable collections based on contributions to household expenses or maintenance work. The shame factor prevents many victims from seeking help, even when they recognize the exploitation. Admitting that romance-clouded judgment about money matters feels humiliating, especially for seniors who pride themselves on financial wisdom and independence. This shame allows exploitation to continue longer and become more devastating. Red flags during courtship include reluctance to discuss personal finances in detail, stories about temporary financial hardships that require assistance, pressure to make financial decisions quickly, suggestions to change legal documents or beneficiaries before marriage, requests to add names to accounts or property titles, and discouragement from discussing financial matters with family or advisors. More subtle warning signs include expensive tastes that don't match claimed income, knowledge about your assets that you haven't shared, friends or family expressing concerns about financial motivations, rushed timeline for marriage or major financial decisions, and evasiveness about employment history, previous marriages, or current living arrangements. Protection strategies include maintaining separate bank accounts and credit cards, requiring prenuptial agreements that clearly define asset ownership, conducting thorough background checks including credit reports and criminal history, involving trusted family members or financial advisors in major decisions, and setting firm boundaries about financial independence and decision-making authority. Never add someone to financial accounts or property titles before marriage, and be extremely cautious about doing so even afterward. Consider setting up monitoring alerts on all accounts to track unusual activity, and maintain relationships with financial institutions that know your normal patterns and can flag suspicious transactions. The third nightmare involves losing the physical foundation of your life, your home, belongings, and irreplaceable family treasures that hold decades of memories. Now, this isn't just about financial loss. It's about losing your identity, your security, and that deep connection to your life's history. For many seniors, these possessions represent their entire legacy, and losing them creates trauma that goes far beyond monetary value. Home ownership, you see, becomes complicated when remarriage involves combining households or changing living arrangements. Many new spouses have strong opinions about where to live, how to arrange shared space, or whether to sell existing properties. What starts as reasonable discussions about practical living arrangements can quickly escalate into battles for control over your most fundamental security, your shelter and personal space. The inheritance battlefield becomes particularly brutal when family heirlooms and sentimental possessions are involved. Items that your children and grandchildren have always expected to inherit. Grandmother's china, grandfather's tools, family photographs, handmade quilts, military medals, or jewelry passed down through generations suddenly become contested property in a new marriage. Your spouse may view these items as valuable assets to be sold or claimed, while your family sees them as irreplaceable pieces of their heritage. Living arrangement conflicts extend beyond just choosing where to live. Your new spouse may want to redecorate extensively, dispose of furniture and belongings that remind them of your previous marriage, or rearrange spaces in ways that eliminate your personal comfort and routines. For seniors who find security in familiar surroundings and established routines, these changes can be psychologically devastating and disorienting. The nursing home manipulation is one of the most sinister forms of property exploitation. Some predatory spouses deliberately seek out seniors with valuable homes and assets, then work to have them declared incompetent or unable to live independently. By claiming that you need more care than they can provide, they can justify moving you to institutional care while maintaining control over your property and assets. The financial pressure of maintaining two properties during a transition period can also force hasty decisions about selling or disposing of possessions. Many seniors find themselves making permanent decisions about irreplaceable items under time pressure created by moving deadlines, storage costs, or relationship pressure. Children's belongings stored in your home become another source of conflict. Items your adult children left behind, school memorabilia, childhood possessions, seasonal decorations, or furniture they plan to claim eventually, may be viewed by a new spouse as clutter that needs immediate disposal. This creates additional family tension and can accelerate the deterioration of relationships with your children. Documentation and proof of ownership becomes crucial when possessions are disputed. Many seniors don't have formal appraisals, insurance documentation, or clear records of inheritance for valuable family items. Without proper documentation, proving ownership or value becomes nearly impossible during divorce proceedings or estate disputes. The emotional attachment to place and possessions is particularly strong for seniors who have lived in the same home for decades. Every room holds memories, every piece of furniture has a story, and the neighborhood represents a lifetime of relationships and routines. Losing this connection can trigger depression, anxiety, and a profound sense of displacement that affects physical and mental health. Warning signs include pressure to make quick decisions about living arrangements, suggestions to sell property or dispose of possessions before marriage, reluctance to sign prenuptial agreements protecting property rights, expressions of dislike for your home or belongings, pressure to remove or store items with sentimental value, and suggestions that your possessions are too much or outdated. Consider creating detailed inventories with photographs of important possessions, storing valuable items in secure locations like safety deposit boxes, and having frank discussions with family members about inheritance expectations before remarriage complicates these plans. The fourth nightmare occurs when health emergencies expose the dangerous confusion that remarriage creates around medical decision-making, healthcare directives, and end-of-life care. During medical crises, clear authority and intimate knowledge of patient preferences can mean the difference between appropriate care and traumatic experiences that violate everything you've believed about your own healthcare. The legal authority confusion begins immediately when emergency medical situations arise. Hospitals and medical facilities default to recognizing spouses as primary decision-makers, even when that spouse has only known you for a short time and has limited understanding of your medical history, treatment preferences, or values around healthcare interventions. Meanwhile, adult children who have been your healthcare advocates for years suddenly find themselves legally powerless to participate in critical decisions. This authority transfer becomes particularly problematic because medical decision-making requires intimate knowledge that takes years to develop. Your new spouse may not know about your previous reactions to medications, your pain tolerance levels, your fears about specific procedures, or your philosophical beliefs about life-sustaining treatments. They may be unaware of chronic conditions you manage privately, alternative treatments you prefer, or specialists you trust based on long-term relationships. The power of attorney battlefield often erupts during the first serious medical emergency after remarriage. If you haven't updated legal documents to reflect your new marriage, outdated directives may still designate your deceased spouse or adult children as healthcare decision-makers. This creates legal confusion and family conflict at exactly the moment when clear, unified decision-making is most critical for your well-being. End-of-life care disagreements can become brutal conflicts between your new spouse and family members who have different perspectives on your wishes and values. Your spouse may advocate for aggressive interventions to prolong life, while your children believe you would want comfort care based on conversations spanning decades. These disputes can result in court battles, ethics committee interventions, and medical care that contradicts your actual preferences, because the people fighting don't truly know what you would want. Medication management becomes complicated when a new spouse takes responsibility for prescriptions, dosing schedules, and interactions with healthcare providers. They may not understand the subtle signs that indicate medication problems, the importance of timing for certain drugs, or your preferences about pain management versus cognitive clarity. Mistakes in medication management can have serious consequences for seniors with complex health conditions. Hospital visiting restrictions during health crises can create devastating family exclusions. If your new spouse is designated as primary contact and decision maker, they may limit access for adult children, grandchildren, or longtime friends who want to provide support during frightening medical situations. This isolation compounds the trauma of illness and can prevent family members from saying goodbye during end-of-life situations. Insurance and healthcare coverage complications arise when remarriage affects Medicare benefits, supplemental insurance policies, or access to specific healthcare providers. Your new spouse's healthcare needs may conflict with yours, creating situations where optimal care for one person compromises care for the other. Additionally, combining households may affect Medicaid eligibility or other need-based healthcare assistance programs. The communication breakdown between medical providers becomes problematic when multiple people claim authority to speak for you during health crises. Doctors and nurses receive conflicting information from your spouse and children, creating confusion about your actual condition, treatment preferences, and discharge planning needs. This communication chaos can delay appropriate treatment and create safety risks. Rehabilitation and recovery planning often requires detailed knowledge of your home environment, physical capabilities, and support systems that a new spouse may not fully understand. Discharge planners may release you to inappropriate care situations because your spouse overestimated their ability to provide necessary assistance or underestimated your care needs based on limited experience with your health conditions. The financial burden of unexpected medical expenses can quickly overwhelm carefully planned budgets, especially when a new spouse has different perspectives on healthcare spending priorities. Your spouse may resist expensive treatments that your family considers essential, or may advocate for costly interventions that exceed your insurance coverage and savings capacity. Mental health implications of medical crises become more complex when family relationships are strained by remarriage. Depression, anxiety, and cognitive changes that often accompany serious illness can be harder to recognize and address when your primary caregiver doesn't know your normal personality, behavior patterns, or coping mechanisms developed over decades. Long-term care decisions require understanding your preferences about independence, dignity, and quality of life that can only come from years of relationship and conversation. Your new spouse may make decisions about nursing home placement, in-home care services, or medical equipment based on their own comfort level, rather than your actual preferences about maintaining autonomy and familiar surroundings. Warning signs include reluctance to discuss healthcare preferences in detail, pressure to change healthcare directives or power of attorney designations quickly, dismissive attitudes toward your existing medical relationships and treatment plans, different philosophical beliefs about medical interventions and end-of-life care, and unwillingness to include family members in healthcare planning discussions. Stay with me. The final nightmare affects your entire social world and might be the most heartbreaking of all. The fifth nightmare involves the devastating loss of social connections, community relationships, and lifelong friendships that took decades to build. For seniors, social isolation isn't just loneliness. It's a serious health risk that increases mortality rates, accelerates cognitive decline, and destroys the support networks that make independent living possible. When remarriage triggers social isolation, the consequences can be more damaging than any financial loss. Friendship group dynamics become complicated when you introduce a new romantic partner into established social circles. Many of your friends were also friends with your deceased spouse, and they may feel uncomfortable including someone new in activities and traditions that honored your previous marriage. They may view your new relationship as too soon, inappropriate, or disrespectful to your deceased partner's memory, creating awkward social situations that gradually exclude you from group activities. The couple-focused social structure that many seniors navigate becomes problematic when friend groups are designed around established couples and you're introducing a new partner who doesn't fit existing dynamics. Your friends may feel uncertain about including your new spouse in intimate gatherings, long-time traditions, or activities that have specific emotional significance related to your previous marriage and shared history. Loyalty conflicts emerge when mutual friends feel forced to choose sides between supporting your happiness and honoring their relationship with your deceased spouse's memory. Some friends may feel that socializing with your new partner betrays their friendship with your previous spouse, while others may worry that excluding you damages a friendship they value. These divided loyalties often result in gradual withdrawal from both sides, rather than navigation of complex emotions. Community reputation concerns become significant factors in smaller communities where your personal life is subject to public scrutiny and judgment. Neighbours, religious community members, and social organisations may have strong opinions about appropriate mourning periods, suitable behaviour for widowed seniors, and the respectability of late-life romance. This social pressure can result in exclusion from community activities, religious functions, and neighbourhood relationships that provided important social structure. Activity conflicts arise when your new spouse has different interests, physical capabilities, or social preferences than the friend groups you've maintained for years. Your bridge club, gardening group, church committee, or volunteer organisation may not accommodate someone with different skills, beliefs, or participation levels. Rather than navigate these differences, many seniors find it easier to withdraw from established activities, losing important social stimulation and purpose. The gossip and judgment factor becomes particularly painful in communities where personal business becomes public discussion. Your romantic life, financial decisions, and family relationships may become topics of speculation and criticism that make social interactions uncomfortable and stressful. The fear of being talked about can lead to self-imposed isolation that compounds loneliness and depression. Social calendar conflicts develop when your new spouse has different preferences about how to spend time, which events to attend, and how much social interaction feels comfortable. They may prefer quiet evenings at home while you thrive on active social engagement, or they may want to establish new friend groups rather than integrate into your existing relationships. These differences can gradually erode your social connections as you compromise your preferences to maintain relationship harmony. Geographic isolation becomes a factor when remarriage involves relocating to be closer to your spouse's family, friends, or preferred living arrangements. Moving away from established community connections eliminates decades of relationship building and forces you to start over socially at an age when making new friends becomes increasingly difficult. The energy required to build new social networks may exceed your physical and emotional capacity. The protective social network that friends provide becomes compromised when remarriage creates tension or distance in these relationships. Friends often serve as informal monitors of your well-being, safety, and decision-making capacity. They notice changes in your health, mood, or behavior that might indicate problems requiring intervention. When remarriage strains these friendships, you lose important safety nets that protect against exploitation, abuse, or neglect. Religious and spiritual community conflicts can arise when your new spouse has different faith traditions, beliefs about remarriage after death, or comfort levels with religious participation. If your spiritual community has been a source of support, friendship, and meaning for decades, losing these connections due to remarriage complications can create profound spiritual and emotional distress. The energy drain of managing social complications around remarriage often overwhelms seniors who have limited physical and emotional resources. Navigating friend group dynamics, community judgment, and social conflicts requires energy that might be better spent on enjoying relationships and activities that bring joy and fulfillment. Many seniors simply withdraw from social challenges rather than fight to maintain complex relationships. Grandchildren's social connections can also be affected when their friends' families have opinions about your remarriage, or when family tensions around your new marriage create awkwardness in community settings. Children may find themselves defending your choices or feeling embarrassed about family conflicts that spill into public spaces. The comparison trap becomes painful when friends and community members contrast your new marriage unfavorably with your previous relationship, making comments about how different your new spouse is from your deceased partner, or expressing disappointment about changes in your behavior or priorities since remarriage. Protection strategies include maintaining individual friendships and activities independent of your new spouse, having honest conversations with close friends about your relationship and their concerns, setting boundaries with community members who express inappropriate judgment, ensuring that remarriage enhances rather than replaces your existing social connections, and being willing to prioritize long-time friendships over new romantic relationships when conflicts arise. Consider scheduling regular individual time with established friends, maintaining participation in important social activities, even if your spouse doesn't participate, and being patient with friends who need time to adjust to changes in your life, while not accepting permanent exclusion or disrespectful treatment. Here's the empowering truth. You can find love and companionship after 70 without experiencing any of these nightmares, but only if you approach remarriage with wisdom, preparation, and firm boundaries. The difference between successful late-life marriages and devastating scenarios comes down to strategic planning and refusing to compromise your fundamental security for romantic feelings. Start by having brutally honest conversations with your adult children about your desire for companionship and their specific concerns about inheritance, family traditions, and care responsibilities. Create comprehensive prenuptial agreements that protect your assets, specify inheritance plans, and maintain your financial independence. Update all legal documents, including wills, healthcare directives, and power of attorney assignments with input from family members and legal advisors. Maintain your own home, bank accounts, and social connections independently rather than combining everything immediately. Set a minimum 2-year courtship period to truly understand someone's character, motivations, and compatibility with your established life. If this video opened your eyes to the serious risks of late-life remarriage, please smash that like button and subscribe for more honest advice that protects seniors from devastating mistakes.